but I actually like militantly like hated electronic music, like with a passion when I was
Really?
growing up. And then when I was 16, my friends dragged me to my first rave against my will. But then there was like an actual like, real party, real DJs, not playing like the cheesy stuff you heard on the radio. I just saw it in a whole other mindset, became obsessed. I started making music actually before I was DJing. So I got a cracked copy of Reason 2.5
Okay,
a lot of time ago.
Don't even think I've heard of that one yet.
So I had that on my grandmother's computer and I was making like, like progressive house and trance and stuff like that.
Is there like a gig, a set, a moment where you've been performing that stood out to you that really felt like a turning point in your career of?
The one that stands out to me the most was probably like my career highlight. I had the opportunity to play the new Mayan Warrior at Burning Man last year. Friday, sunset, before Rufus' Soul. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was
definitely a highlight where I was like, all right, where I'm supposed to be.
Mike, thanks for coming over to Tiny Table Radio. It's great to have you.
Thanks so much, man. Happy to be here. It's so cool.
Yeah, thank you. First place we always like to start is tell me how you got started in DJing and producing in this world.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Well, I've been a musician my whole life. So I started playing guitar when I was 9 years old. And so music's always just been a part of my life, but I actually like militantly like hated electronic music, like with a passion when I was growing up. It was before like the internet was a big thing. So for me, electronic music was like the cheesy stuff that you would hear on the radio, like Sandstorm and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was into like, Jimi Hendrix and rock and roll and whatnot. So, and then when I was 16, my friends dragged me to my first rave against my will. But then there was like an actual like, real party, real DJs, not playing like the cheesy stuff you heard on the radio. And I just saw it in a whole other mindset, and I became obsessed. I got a cracked copy, and I started making music actually before I was DJing. So I got a cracked copy of Reason 2.5, which is a very old digital audio workstation.
Okay,
a long time ago.
Don't even think I've heard of that one yet.
It's like 2003, so I'm kind of aging myself here a little bit, but so I had that on my grandmother's computer and I was making like, like progressive house and trance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I went to music school. So I studied music and I majored in music synthesis and I started DJing in college and the rest is history.
Okay, so you started producing before DJing.
Yeah, I started producing.
And went to music school after you had started producing?
Absolutely.
What happened for you to actually get to completing like your first track and actually playing it in front of people?
So I went to music school, studied like music synthesis, and then so I was recruited out of there to go work as a studio engineer in Washington D.C. from the DJs called Deep Dish, which is Dubfire and Shram. They were big progressive house DJs at the time. Now they're doing their solo careers. It was my first job in music, and I was just kind of like just blown away from going from like, small town Boston to like super deep in the music industry. And I was making a lot of we were doing like a lot of minimal techno and stuff like that. And then we started throwing parties. So I had a party down there called Life. And so we were booking, at the time they were small, now they were household names, but like we would do like Jamie Jones, Damian Lazarus. We were the first people to book Tale of Us in America, believe it or not.
Wow.
And it was just like these like tiny clubs that fit like 250 people kind of thing.
What was like mid 2000s?
This was like 2009, 2010, stuff like that. It was like just as the scene was shifting from like minimal techno into this kind of like slow-mo disco, deep house type stuff and whatnot.
So like those guys weren't even like household names at that point.
They were coming up. It was a very, very small scene. Yeah. They were well known, but we were definitely like pretty early on. And at the time, so whenever I would play parties, because I came from that music production background, I actually would play live a lot. So I had like the original APC 40, and I would just take a bunch of either song ideas I had and just kind of improvise with them live. And I think that's the first time I started like playing my music out in like a club and stuff like that.
Nice. So did you like do live performances first for a while before you actually got into like proper like full-on DJing?
I think I did a little. I was a bit of a mixture of both back then. I was also doing like a lot of tractor back then, but then I would like have other equipment with it, like MIDI synced and whatnot. So and I would actually run tractor and Ableton at the same time too. That was a thing we used to do back then. So I did it. Kind of did it all. I would say like just like straight DJing. I started doing that when like the CDJ 2000s came out, just because it was super easy and whatnot, and
Yeah.
you didn't have to like lug your laptop anymore and whatnot. So
Yeah.
so that's when I was like just like straight DJing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still do some like live or hybrid performances?
Yeah, so it comes and goes. In the so I stopped. So for the 2010s, I pretty much was just DJing, and then in the pandemic, there was no gigs or anything, and people would ask me to like everyone was doing like Zoom parties and whatnot,
Yeah.
and so people would ask me to DJ their Zoom party, and I didn't have a DJ set up, but I had like a really nice studio,
Yeah.
so I was like, I'll just do a live set. And then, so that's when I like revamped like the new live set, and I kind of brought the guitar in. That was my first time ever using guitar. When the pandemic lifted and whatnot, then I actually like debuted the live set, and I was doing that live with guitar and all original music. And I still do it. I still love it. The challenge that I have though is I always want to keep it fresh. I think there's obviously people are in electronic music are cultured to like not they want to hear the same thing every time, right? But when you're doing original music, it's hard to write, amazing new music for every new show.
Sure.
So it was just a lot to just kind of pressure myself to kind of always be constantly creating new stuff, especially when you play in New York a lot because people see me all the time.
Right.
So I still do a live set, but now I just do it for like special occasions and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of work to,
It is,
especially if you're playing a lot.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I go crazy. I get a new booking and I'd write like 5 new songs, like just for that show.
Yeah. And what, you have like 3 days or something?
No, I would have like,
oh, okay.
I'd have
okay.
a month or 2, but
yeah, that's either way, still, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a gig, a set, a moment where you've been performing that stood out to you that really felt like a turning point in your career of, you've been in the music scene and industry for a long time, but this was kind of like, oh, okay, now I'm kind of in the lane I want to be in.
I mean, I've been really lucky to have. I've had some really good ones. And this one's obvious. The one that stands out to me the most was probably like my career highlight. So I had the opportunity to play the new Mayan Warrior at Burning Man last year.
Yeah.
It was Friday sunset before Rufus Soul, and that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was like and it was also my 40th birthday that year too. So my birthday is during Burning Man. So that was definitely that was definitely a highlight where I was like, all right, where I'm supposed to be.
Man, nice.
where I want to be. At least.
I mean, you've seen a lot of iterations kind of kind of this scene and this community over your career, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of how it is today?
It's a spicy one.
Feel free to give a hot take.
Yeah, hot take. Okay, I think I have two opposing feelings at the same time. I'm so happy that it's that we have so many more people in our scene, and that the scene is healthy, and there's so many more listeners. And I genuinely love everyone. But I think what I struggle with is, for me, this scene, it's not just about the music, right? It's the music and it's the culture, it's the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, the music is a big part of it, but it's also just like the way of being and the way of communicating and the way of just kind of being respectful for everyone. And that's always been part of underground house music and rave culture. And I feel like what happened is in the pandemic, we weren't socializing because we were all kind of like locked up. And then so people went online. And I feel like that's when like our underground genre of music exploded because all the live streams and whatnot. And then so now we have all these new people that are interested in this music, which is great. And I love that. But then when the pandemic lifted, then they were like, all right, let's go to all these events. But they didn't have the time to like kind of like, to like onboard onto the way that we do things, the way that we communicate and whatnot. So I'm happy that the scene is healthy, but I feel like the vibes have changed a little bit since before the pandemic because we didn't have that time to kind of have people, adapt and to the way that we do things. Hopefully we can get there. It's not like unsalvageable and whatnot, but it's it's just not where I would like it to be.
What do you think could help? Like, what could events do, or to really keep that kind of core community ethos that you talk about?
That's a really good question. It's a hard problem to solve, to be honest. I guess it depends on the scale of the event, right? Because it's not like a huge festival. Like you're bringing these big acts, right? So I don't really know. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people talking about like consent, and I think that's obviously super important. But yeah, I think it's I think I actually don't really have a good answer for it, to be honest. I think it's a tough problem
Yeah.
actually.
Right. It's like, you want it, like you want to expose new people to it, but it's also about like maintaining that culture and kind of the
Yeah.
etiquette of what it has been for so long. So
Mhm.
yeah, that is a tough one. I don't think I have an answer for that either.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you had any ideas or thoughts there. But speaking
Yeah.
of events, you're a resident and label head for Zero,
Yeah.
which has been a staple New York City event.
Mhm.
But tell us a bit more about it and how you got started with that and how that's evolved.
So Zero is I'm part of the crew. I've been part of the team for about 10 years. I haven't been there since the beginning. It was originally founded by my good friend Richard Hubin and his partner at the time, Lauren. Richard's doing it solo now. And so I'm married. My wife Lucy and I have been together for around 11 years now. And we were dating at the time. And I was playing a lot in New York and other parties, but I didn't know Rich and didn't know Zero that well. It was still pretty small back then. And my girlfriend and I were and she knew Rich for a long time. She was there since the very beginning, and we were at one of their parties, and she dragged me, pulled me up to him, and she said, "Hey, this is my boyfriend Mike. You should book him at your next party," and then ran away. And then I was sitting there, and
Nice.
we were both standing there like, "Hey, what's up?" It was a very awkward first meeting and whatnot, but we hit it off pretty quickly, and
Nice.
we've been close friends. He was a groomsman at my wedding, and he's one of my closest guy friends, and yeah, it just feels like a family.
And I mean, you've had, brought people from Berlin, from
Mhm.
overseas. How did you guys from that point of that one awkward encounter kind of grow and evolve it?
Well, from my involvement, we like I said, I think he booked me at one of their parties. I think it was called Ode to Love, which was like the first one, and it went really well. And he asked me to be a resident, and I said no. I was doing other shows in New York at the time, and I wasn't fully ready and whatnot. And I had some other crews that I was playing for and whatnot at the time. Eventually, I came around and joined Zero. The way that the Berlin thing happened is, yeah, we just started booking Mira very early on in her career.
Mhm.
We booked honestly like a big part of our sound was a lot of like the German DJs. So like there was Mira, which is the Catter crew, but then there was also like Mikone, Sasha Bramer, all these guys that were kind of big at that time, and then just started bringing more and more people over, and then we do the collaboration where we take over the club in the summer, and then we actually do one in New York. So for a while it was just Katerbau. We would do the Zero Kater, which is in October, and then now it's grown into Berlin Beyond, which is Kater and Garbage and multiple clubs and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So yeah, they're just we're like this.
Nice. I mean, it has grown. I've always had a good time at those parties.
Yeah, it's great.
Some of the boat parties have been very standout with a good sunset.
Oh
And
yeah, that's the
yeah,
best day.
yeah.
Nothing beats a New York sunset and on the water.
And yeah, absolutely. In the summer, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. But you also book artists for the event still?
Me personally,
Yeah.
so Rich is the owner, and he's like the head honcho and final say on everything.
Uh-huh.
I joke that I'm kind of like Rich's like consigliere, if you will, right? I help with like some biz dev stuff, some marketing, the label, and then obviously I feed him a lot of some artists to book and
Sure.
whatnot. Rich is the final say on everything. It's definitely
Uh-huh.
like it's definitely his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely say I have a hit on that for sure.
Nice. Yeah, it's so many moving parts to running an event.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's and the bookings they kind of it just kind of makes sense because we have like these big communities, whether it's the Berlin crew or the Burning Man camps that we have relationships with
Yeah.
and whatnot. So but all the bookings it kind of it's like a community kind of aspect.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, how would somebody, if they were like, oh, how would I be able to get booked at Zero? It's not gonna be like a happenstance. You just like stumble upon them, right?
That's the $1,000,000 question. I think if you were like based in New York and you wanted to play Zero, is that what you were asking, or just in
Yeah,
general?
I mean,
Or?
yeah, I'd say let's go with that. Yeah.
I think and this isn't the Zero. This is for any party really. I think it's important. You kind of have your own thing going on,
Mhm.
right? Whether that's your own community, your own following, and that could either be through events you're producing. I think that's the best way to do it.
Mhm.
Perfect example is Oba and Flip, who's part of our crew, but they also have Midnight Caviar, which is exploding right now, and I'm super happy for them.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to do it. obviously make amazing music, have a very unique sound, unique set and whatnot. I think, you know, you just need something that's gonna, you know, kind of differentiate yourself. And then the other thing is too is come hang out, right? Like be our friend, come hang out with us, come to our events, hang out with us on the weekends, come to dinner, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how it is, whether it's us or any other event. I think that's just, you know, that's the way to do it, you know.
There's such a common pattern for any event really, or any guest who's part of an event series of just showing up, you know, being a part of, when we say the word community comes up all the time. You've said it multiple times. It's just like being part of a community, showing up, being there for people, being there with people, enjoying the events first, and just giving first is, I don't know. I mean, like that to me is such a great way to just get involved. And if that leads to something's great, but if not, you're still enjoying yourself because you're connecting with the people you want to. And
Exactly.
I think that just like, that's so important.
And I think the thing that you have to think about, right, is you shouldn't compare like our step 7 to like your step 1. Right. Because like you look at what we're doing and like, well, you know, we're doing City of Gods and there's, you know, all these people, or Industry City or the Masquerade, and it looks impressive. But it started as a party in Rich's apartment, right? You know? Or like you look like Caterblau, right? Like legendary Berlin nightclub, you know, multiple stages. It's just like iconic, right? But it started as like a squat on the river with just some people at bar, aka Bar 25, right?
Yeah.
And you know, we just kind of squatting and had a party, right? So most of the things that people want to be a part of now, they have very like meager beginnings, right? So do your own meager beginnings, and then, you know, I'm gonna want to be part of your thing when it blows up.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's a great way to put it too. Just like do your own thing, and maybe your paths will collide too.
Yeah.
You know, we're speaking of community, speaking of building an event or a thing, you know, first off, what would you say like the ethos of the Zero community is? And then what would you say to someone trying to build an event or a community would be like one of the more important aspects of making sure the culture is, kind of going back to our first point of like the way we would like it to be?
Yeah, I think, you know, the Zero community, you know, the way I always describe it is just like this lovable group of weirdos that are really talented, you know. People know the DJs and whatnot, but we also have so many incredible artists and builders and designers and decorators and whatnot that give it its the vibe that it is, right? That it just doesn't feel like this big corporate thing with, you know, big lights and sounds, right? And again, I think that just comes back down to it just be originally coming from like a homegrown thing, right? And I think that's the most important thing, is that you have your crew and your community, and that you build your culture. Kind of like the same thing that I was talking about with the pandemic and how events have exploded and whatnot. I think it's, you start small, you have your crew, you have the way that you guys interact, the vibe of your events, and then you slowly bring on people. That way you can kind of like continue that vibe, and continue the culture, and, you know, and grow from there.
Yeah. For you on a personal level, what's been one of the bigger challenges you've faced over your career?
Oh, yeah, I say that one. Think too much. So I'm a very thinky dude, and I really struggled with finishing music. It's still something I struggle with a little bit. I always had the technical ability, right? Like I was always like very skilled at, you know, I went to school for this kind of stuff and whatnot. But I would sit down on that blank page, and I would just like psych myself out, or I would make something and then not think it's good enough. And I struggled with that for like longer than I care to admit, to be honest, right? And I would say around the pandemic is actually when I finally like kind of broke out of that, right? Even though I had been producing for forever at that time. There was a coach by the name of Mike Monday. He was a popular guy. He was online, he advertised online, and just like a random idea I had, and we had really good reviews, and, you know, some people had worked with him. And yeah, he just has this really unique approach, and it really just opened my eyes, and I went from barely able to finishing stuff to having, you know, multiple live sets, and so yeah, it was super effective for me. Yeah,
It's just being able to get over that mental hurdle of overthinking.
Absolutely, that's the biggest thing, right? You can't overthink things, right? And you can't. Every song that you work on, it can't be precious. That's the problem, right? You're like, oh, this is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the record. It's gonna get signed, or this is gonna blow up, or whatever. Like you can't think like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're still making music. You're still creating music. Now that you're far past that point of when you know, had coaching to get past that moment. do you still put pressure on yourself to make a track be good enough to get signed, or you just think, okay, I've made it, it's good, and this is what it is?
Yes, look, I'm still always going to struggle with that kind of stuff a little bit. But it's significantly less than it was. And the big change that I did through working with a coach, right, is quality through quantity, right? So instead of just trying to make like that one amazing record, right, I make 100 records, and then hopefully one of them is amazing, right? Like what the saying is, how to make a hit record, you make 100 bad records.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's the reps. It's like, you get better through repetition.
Well, that, and also too, like you can, like, it's hard to, like, it's just such like a kind of like a random process, right? So it's hard to know what's in that moment, what's going to stick and whatnot.
For sure.
And then, so I'm just constantly making stuff, and sometimes they always start as like a short idea, and then I kind of have a folder with all my short ideas, and then I kind of organize it like a little pipeline that I kind of develop them all at the same time. And so I'm always working on multiple things, so that way there's no like one song that I'm like super attached to.
Oh, nice. That's a good way to like.
Because otherwise, I'm gonna like
trick yourself.
I'm gonna like psych myself out. I'm like, oh, this is the one.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Can't do
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
But,
you probably spend like 6 hours just like tweaking like a tiny little frequency on a snare or something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you kind of gave us a peek into your creative process while you're producing. Can you go into that a little bit more? Like, is it always the same? You just kind of have this folder of like little ideas and you pull from them, or what's that like?
Yeah. So again, this is all stuff that I learned from my coaching with Mike. And so so basically they call it the splurge, where you sit down and every day, no matter what, I write. I do for 30 minutes bare minimum. I make something no matter what. I can go longer if I want to, but I always do at least 30 minutes. And the main thing is I don't have a direction or judge myself or anything. Like I can't, it's like no erasing, only creating kind of thing.
Nice.
Right. And I make a lot of garbage. I'm not gonna lie. But there's a lot of good stuff too, right?
Yeah.
And basically, and I'm not allowed to listen to it for a week, right?
Okay.
And then a week later, then I'll go through and I listen to all the stuff that's ready to be listened to. So that way I have like fresh ears and I'm not too like attached to it. And then I choose the ones that I want to work on, and then I kind of bring that to like the next phase of like ideas that I actually want to develop and stuff.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a really cool system.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, because that way you can just totally let go of the stuff that like you're like, you know what, this was trash.
Yeah,
who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you always start kind of with the same elements at the beginning? Like particularly like
that's a good question. How do I start? I think I start with drums and the bass line is usually what I do, just kind of get a groove, and then start adding synths. I'm a huge synth nerd, so I have a bunch of analog synths, and then I have do you know what like Eurorack is? Like modular synthesizers and stuff. So also in the pandemic, I went super deep on this stuff, and I have a comically large, complicated modular synthesizer setup.
Nice.
That I love. It's like my baby. It's like my desert island piece for the studio for sure.
Amazing.
And I love plugins. I love soft synths, and I love my analog synths too. Like I have a Moog and I have a Arturia Polybrute.
Yep.
But the ideas and the sound and the textures that you get out of modular, you can't do that.
You can't replicate it with anything else. Yeah.
So.
It's so, I mean, it is truly unique, right? Like every little connection is
even if I want to recreate the sound, I think it's
like, I don't know if I can do it again.
I record it and I got it. If not, then it's gone forever.
That's so cool. I've never played with one, but I've seen them. And I'm just like, wow, what a world.
It's a rabbit hole.
I'm sure.
You can get lost.
Was that your COVID hobby?
That and my live set was the big thing I didn't.
Yeah,
that was the live set and then and the modular. And
would you ever do a live modular set?
Yeah, so that's actually one thing that I'm actually kind of working on.
Oh, sick.
I think live set 2.0 might be like a live set with maybe a little bit of like hybrid DJing and some modular and whatnot.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's an idea that I'm toying around with.
I love it.
I've experimented with it a little bit, but it's definitely it'll be like a year before that's even remotely ready to be public. So
fair.
Preview.
Aside from the modular, is there like one of your synths or any other piece of hardware that you always end up like gravitating towards while you're creating a song?
That's a good question. I mean, like the other fancy pieces I have like a Moog One, which is this beautiful legendary Moog synth that you're familiar. Yeah. So that's like that thing. That's not gonna get sold anytime.
Yeah.
You know. It's tough. It's beautiful, it's lush, it's rich. It's actually hard to use in dance tracks because it's like so huge.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do like some Vangelis, like 80s stuff, that's definitely go to.
That's
But
the one, yeah.
and then I actually just got for Christmas, my wife got me a Christmas gift, and it's the Telepathic Instruments Orchid. Have you heard about this?
Mm-mm.
So Tame Impala.
Mhm.
So Tame Impala collaborated with this company that makes these. It's like this little tiny little synthesizer. It's called the Orchid,
Okay.
and it's just like an idea machine. It's a way to make chord progressions that are very advanced, but also very like accessible sounding and like super easy. So you have you have a 1 octave keyboard, then you have like major, minor, nine, and whatnot, and you can just make crazy chord voicings and progressions and arpeggios.
Oh, cool.
And it's there's just nothing else like it that I've used, and it's honestly, and it's battery powered too, so you just plug in headphones and sit in the car, or you can plug it in the studio. So like I could just jam.
Or just like if you're traveling, just like bring it with a laptop and like sit at the airport or something.
Yeah, it's an inspiration machine. So
all right,
that's probably one of my top three for sure. Yeah.
Oh, I might have to spend money on one.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's really really cool.
Oh geez, now I'm just want to like go down a tech rabbit hole with you.
Yeah, right.
We'll I digress.
Yeah.
If you could go back to when you first started with that cracked DAW, knowing what you know now, just about the whole process. If you had time to tell yourself one sentence, what would that be?
One sentence?
Yeah.
Get out of your head.
Easy enough.
Yeah, that's it. Just don't overthink things. Just it's about the art, man. Just make music.
Yeah. Kind of bumping back up to today. Is there any genre, sound, artist, vibe that's really caught your ear, that's piqued your interest to even start kind of tapping into a little bit yourself creatively?
I think for myself creatively, like I couldn't even tell you like what sound I do, right?
Sure.
I'm kind of like just this hodgepodge of some melodic stuff, some groovy stuff. There's obviously lots of little piece of influences I have here.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like things that I'm like adopting on my own stuff, like I think I'm kind of just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
As far as artists that I'm like listening to that I'm respecting, I mean, obviously I'd be remiss if I didn't say, about my obviously our Zero community, Daniel, Oben Flip, and Violetta and whatnot. I would say outside of that, one of my favorite sets that I've heard recently, I actually saw it live, is there's this guy, Rigo Polar, who played live on the Mayan Warrior before Rave, and I just went there to go check out Rampu, and he was playing. I was just blown away. It was just this perfect, amazing set. I think they actually just released it on YouTube.
Okay.
So
check it out.
So I've been pushing Rich to get him in at one of our events.
What about it? Like really like caught your ear?
It's hard to describe, right? It's just
of course, yeah. I know. It's like putting words into like this. Yeah.
What I liked about it, was for me, it's that mixture of, it was like intelligent and tasteful, but accessible, and just like with like a really really nice groove.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like kind of like my lane.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Awesome.
And actually, I'm gonna play some of his records later.
Great. Well, I guess we'll get a little taste of that.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself as an artist in 10 years?
It's a really good question. I would hope in 10 years that I'm playing live significantly more than DJing. I think that's the big thing. To where I love DJing and I deeply appreciate that. But, my identity is a musician first and whatnot. So it's just been, with the other things in life going on, it's just been challenging to kind of keep that live set fresh.
Sure.
But hopefully in 10 years, I can sort that stuff out.
Yeah.
And focus exclusively on live stuff, and hopefully maybe in a way that's even a little more improvisational, and because that's just who I am.
Have you always gone by Lovecraft?
Have I always gone by Lovecraft? No. It was Mike Fisher for a little bit. Changed that quickly. Then it was actually my DJ name for a while was actually Fisher,
okay.
which
someone else
probably could have changed that one.
Are you gonna be hanging down from ropes when your next gig?
Exactly. And then around 2013 is when I started the Lovecraft project.
Any symbolism behind it?
There's an author that we have the same birthday and whatnot. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The same birthday, like 100 years apart, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Do you feel like it's still fitting for the project or who you are now?
Sonically and whatnot.
Sure.
No, I actually don't identify. I actually don't identify for a lot of things with that author and whatnot. I think there's some cool things he did, but don't really identify with him. I think it's kind of taken on its. I think it's actually taken on its own shape.
Sure.
I actually identify more with the love than the actual work that he was doing. So yeah, I think it's interesting comparison and whatnot. But yeah, it's fun. It's growing into its own thing.
Do you have any dance floor pet peeves that just really get to you?
I mean, the obvious one, right, is phones. Right, phones, videos, right?
Yeah.
I'm okay with the video. Oh, here's the thing. As an artist, I like when people obviously post the videos, but at the same time, as the person at the event, like, okay, get your memory, whatever.
Yeah.
But like the whole time, it's just
There's a tasteful way to do it, right?
It's tricky. Obviously, like we all want to see what's happening in the event, and there's that voyeurism, and people, how was that party and whatnot. But unequivocally, any event that you go to, if they have a no photo and a no video policy, the vibe is always
so different.
It's always going to be better. I think it attracts a different crowd, and
no question.
People have a different agenda, and yeah, it's just so it's like I mean, it's tough though because as an artist you do have content to grow, so it's like this like two-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
But as a person that for the health of the event, like no phones, no videos.
Yeah.
Sure.
What's one non-music essential you always bring to a gig?
Non-music essential I bring to a gig. This is a weird one. I discovered this at Burning Man, and now I bring it to if it's like a big gig or it's going to be like a late night, I'll take this with me. And they're called exogenous ketones. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically it was at Burning Man 2 years ago, and it was my actual 40th birthday. And just say I was up for a long time. And I had to play, and I was not my best. I wasn't like, twisted. I was just really tired.
Yeah.
Brain fog, all that kind of stuff.
Burning Man.
And, someone was like, hey man, I got this thing for us called exogenous ketones. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's just like weird hippie stuff, whatever. And I try it, and it's the worst tasting thing you've ever had in your life. It's like pure gasoline, right? And it lingers, and it's just the worst of the worst. But it like fully jumpstarts your brain. So basically it puts your body in like a state of ketosis. And so your brain uses the ketones for fuel as opposed to glucose. So it like reduces the inflammation in your brain. So you just go from that like brain fog, exhausted feeling to being like super sharp. And the gig went great.
Wow.
And so now anytime there's like a big night, like we do City of Gods and we have the after party, which is known to go very late. I'm obviously going to have it there. Masquerade, I'll obviously have it at the Masquerades. Anytime it's an event that's going to go later and I need to be like on it, then that's going to be like
exogenous ketones.
Yeah, ketone aid, not sponsored.
That's a first.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, well, just a few more here for you.
Yeah.
It's been really, really awesome to get to hear your journey and learn about you and your path as an artist and as an event curator. But do you have any upcoming releases, projects, gigs? Shows,
we got a lot of stuff coming up. Obviously Zero, we have a huge summer at Industry City with some big events. And then we obviously have our Zero Catabout takeover in Berlin, which is, we take over the club starting Friday night. That goes till Monday morning, nonstop. And that's, those are probably my two favorite nights of the year. And
nice.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners follow you, stay up to date with what you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, best place is my SoundCloud and my Instagram. Lovecraft Music on Instagram and Lovecraft Music on SoundCloud.
Great. And we always ask our guests to finish this sentence to wrap up the interview.
Okay.
To me, house music is
love.
Mike, thanks for coming over. It's been great to have this conversation with you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to that latest interview on Tiny Table Radio. It would help a lot if you hit that subscribe button now so I can bring on more guests and keep this show going. So hit that subscribe button now, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy the set.